Good afternoon. This is All India Radio. I'm Valsa Williams, and with me is Abhishek Mukhopadhyay with the Midday News. The headlines. Electioneering picks up in poll-bound states. Star campaigners and prominent leaders of various political parties engaged in public rallies. Martial musical tunes with Indian fervour to be the flavour of beating the retreat ceremony this year. Also 1,000 drones to perform light show at the ceremony in the national capital this evening. Over 4.5 crore children receive first dose of COVID-19 vaccine across the country. Prime Minister Narendra Modi to share his thoughts with people of the country and abroad in Mann Ki Baat program on All India Radio at 11:30 a.m. tomorrow. Government sets January 31st as the last date for schools to register with Sainik School Society for setting up new schools. And India beat China 2-0 to win bronze medal at Women's Asia Cup Hockey. In Australian Open Tennis Tournament, Ashley Barty to square off against first-time finalist Danielle Collins in women's singles today at Melbourne Park. Thanasi Kokinakis and Nick Kyrgios to take on Matthew Ebden and Max Purcell in men's doubles final. As the number of COVID-19 cases is rising rapidly in several parts of the country, we appeal to our listeners to be vigilant and to get fully vaccinated and help others, including children between 15 and 18 years, get vaccinated. With the new Omicron variant of coronavirus causing concern, please continue to follow these 3 simple steps to stay safe. Wear a face mask, maintain 2 gaz ki duri for social distancing. Focus on hand and face hygiene. For any COVID-related information and guidance, contact national helpline numbers 0112397846 and 1075. And now the news in detail. In Uttar Pradesh, a high-pitch electoral campaign is on for the first 2 phases of the 7th-phase assembly elections. Star campaigners and prominent leaders of various political parties are engaged in public rallies after finalization of candidates for the first phase. Door-to-door canvassing and virtual appeals to the voters also continue. Political activities have already begun in other poll-bound states, including Goa, Uttarakhand, Punjab and Manipur, with the party leaders deliberating in marathon meetings to finalize their electoral strategies and formations, even while giving shape to the lists of candidates. Meanwhile, the picture of the electoral battle in the first phase of assembly elections became clear, with mostly multi-cornered contests on the cards after withdrawal of candidature last evening. There are 623 candidates in the fray for 58 seats. Included in this phase, maximum 15 candidates each are vying for Mathura and Muzaffarnagar seats, while minimum 5 candidates are in the fray for Iglas seat. In the initial phase, 58 assembly constituencies, including 9 reserved for scheduled castes, will go to polls on the 10th of February. More from our correspondent.
In the second phase, the polling will be held on 14th February in 55 assembly constituencies spread across 9 districts. The process of filing nominations for the third and the fourth phase is also underway. The polling will be held on 59 assembly constituencies each in these phases on 20th and 23rd of February. Meanwhile, the election campaigning is in full swing. Senior BJP leader Amit Shah addressed a party function in Muzaffarnagar today. The party's national president Jagat Prakash Nadda held a door-to-door campaign in Bareilly. Samajwadi Party Chief Akhilesh Yadav and Rashtriya Lok Dal Chief Jayant Chaudhary also addressed a joint press conference in Ghaziabad. Meanwhile, various voter awareness drives are also being carried out in the state. In one such novel initiative, the district administration of Shamli is writing postcards to all Divyang voters, inviting them to cast their franchise on the polling date. Aditya Shukla, AIR News, Gorakhpur.
Single-phase polling in Goa and Uttarakhand will be held simultaneously with the second phase. 40 seats in Goa and 70 seats in Uttarakhand will go to polls together on the 14th of February. During the UP second phase and the single-phase polling in the 2 states, scrutiny of nominations will be undertaken today. The last date for withdrawal of candidature will be the 31st of January. In Uttar Pradesh, 794 nominations were filed in this phase, while 587 nominations were filed in Goa and 750 nominations were filed in Uttarakhand till the close of nominations last evening. Goa has a total of 11,56,762 electors. The total strength of the House is 40, out of which one seat is reserved for the scheduled castes. More from our correspondent.
Altogether, 587 nominations have been filed for Goa Assembly elections. Last day of withdrawal is on Monday, 31st January, and the picture of the fray will be clear after that. Elections are scheduled on 14th February. Nominations received so far include those of 5 couples and 3 candidates from a family, father, daughter, and nephew. Multi-cornered battle is expected in many key constituencies. The death toll due to COVID pandemic was 15 yesterday in the state, and owing to restrictions, campaigning is at low pace and emphasis is on meeting voters and social media without any public rallies till now. Mukesh Thali, AIR News, Panaji, Goa.
Uttarakhand has total 82,38,187 electors. The total strength of the House is 70, out of which 13 seats are reserved for the scheduled castes and 2 seats reserved for the scheduled tribes. The third phase of polling in Uttar Pradesh will be conducted on the 20th of February in 59 assembly constituencies from 16 districts, including 15 assembly constituencies reserved for the scheduled castes. In addition, the single-phase polling in Punjab will be held simultaneously. All the 117 assembly constituencies in the state will go to polls together in this phase. During the UP third phase and single-phase polling in Punjab, nominations can be filed till the 1st of February and scrutiny will be undertaken on the 2nd of February. In all, 98 nominations were filed in Uttar Pradesh, while 279 nominations were filed in Punjab till last evening. The last date for withdrawal of candidature will be the 4th of February. Total 2,15,75,430 electors will be eligible to exercise their franchise during the third phase in Uttar Pradesh. Punjab has total 2,13,88,764 electors. The total strength of the House is 117, out of which 34 seats are reserved for scheduled castes. The process of filing nominations for the fourth phase of assembly polls in Uttar Pradesh is presently going on, and 35 nominations were filed till last evening. The fourth phase of polling in Uttar Pradesh will be conducted on the 23rd of February in 59 assembly constituencies from 9 districts, including 16 assembly constituencies reserved for the scheduled castes. During the UP fourth phase, nominations can be filed till the 3rd of February and scrutiny will be undertaken on the 4th of February. The last date for withdrawal of candidature will be the 7th of February. The counting of votes will be taken up together on the 10th of March. Total over 2 crore electors will be eligible to exercise their franchise during the second phase. They include over 1 crore male, 98,86,286 female and 972 third gender voters. In view of the prevailing COVID-19 pandemic and rising cases of Omicron variant across the country, the Election Commission has laid focus on COVID-safe elections with maximum participation.
Punjab Congress President Navjot Singh Sidhu today filed his nomination papers for assembly polls from Amritsar East seat. Mr. Sidhu is sitting MLA from this seat. The seat has become hot seat in this election as Shiromani Akali Dal has speeched senior Akali leader and sitting MLA from Majitha, Vikram Singh Majithia, against Navjot Singh Sidhu. Mr. Majithia filed his nomination papers yesterday. Mr. Majithia is also contesting from Majitha seat. BJP has fielded Dr. Jagmohan Singh Raju from this seat. Punjab will go to polls on the 20th of February and the counting of votes will take place on the 10th of March. The chief ministerial candidate of Aam Aadmi Party, Bhagwant Mann, today filed his nomination papers from Dhuri Assembly constituency in Sangrur district. Mr. Mann is currently Member of Parliament from Sangrur Lok Sabha seat. The local body elections for all Gram Panchayats except Netaji Nagar and Hat Bay Zila Parishad, Panchayat Samitis and Port Blair Municipal Council in Andaman and Nicobar Islands will be held on the 6th of March 2022. Counting of votes will be done on the 8th of March. Notification for polling will be issued on the 4th of February. Polling dates were announced yesterday. With the announcement of elections, the Model Code of Conduct has come into force with immediate effect. The last date for filing nominations is the 11th of February and scrutiny will be done on the 12th of February. The 14th of February is the last date for the withdrawal of nominations. The whole electoral process is to be completed before the 11th of March. Amid COVID-19, it is decided to increase the duration of polls by 2 hours. The local body elections are due in ANN Islands in September 2020 and could not be held due to COVID-19 pandemic.
1,000 drones will dazzle the sky above Delhi for the first time ever as part of a drone show which will be the highlight of the beating retreat ceremony today. The ceremony will be held at the historic Vijay Chowk. President Ramnath Kovind, Prime Minister Narendra Modi, Raksha Mantri Rajnath Singh and others will be among the many dignitaries who will witness the show. Our correspondent reports that martial musical tunes with Indian fervour will be the flavour of the ceremony this year.
For the first time, the drone show has been made a part of the ceremony to commemorate 75 years of independence being celebrated at Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav. The drone show has been organized by a startup Boat Lab Dynamics and supported by Indian Institute of Technology, Delhi and Department of Science and Technology. The show would be of 10 minutes duration involving around 1,000 drones fabricated through indigenous technology. Synchronized background music will also be played during the drone show. A total of 26 performances will enthrall the spectators with foot-tapping music played by the bands of Indian Army, Navy, Air Force and Central Armed Police Forces. The entry band will be masked band playing the Veer Sainik tune. This will be followed by pipes and drums band, CAPF band, Air Force band, Naval band, Army military band and masked bands. The principal conductor of the ceremony will be Commander Vijay Charles D. Cruz. Besides, a number of new tunes have been added to the ceremony to celebrate Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav. These include Kerala, Hind Ki Sena and Aye Mere Watan Ke Logon. The event will be come to a close with ever popular tune of Sare Jahan Se Acha. Anand Kumar, AIR News, Delhi.
Beating the retreat is a centuries-old military tradition dating from the days when troops disengaged from battle at sunset. As soon as the buglers sounded the retreat, the troops ceased fighting, sheathed their arms and withdrew from the battlefield. It is for this reason that the custom of standing still during the sounding of retreat has been retained to this day. Colours and standards are cased and flags lowered at retreats. Drum beats recall the days when troops lodged in towns and cities were recalled to their quarters at an appointed time in the evening. Based on these military traditions, beating the retreat ceremony creates a mood of nostalgia of the times gone by. Delhi Police has made elaborate traffic arrangements in view of beating the retreat ceremony to be held today at Vijay Chowk in the national capital as well as for illumination of Rashtrapati Bhavan, North Block, South Block and Parliament House. As per the traffic advisory, Vijay Chowk will remain closed for general traffic from 2 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. today. No traffic will be allowed on Raisina Road from Krishi Bhavan roundabout towards Vijay Chowk beyond Darashiko Road roundabout, Krishna Menon Marg roundabout and Saneri Masjid roundabout towards Vijay Chowk. As per the advisory, traffic will be restricted on Rajpath between Vijay Chowk and C Hexagon. Commuters are advised to take alternate routes like Ring Road, Ridge Road, Aurobindo Marg, Madrasati Point, Rani Jhansi Road and Minto Road. The entry and exit gates of Udyog Bhavan and Central Secretariat metro stations will remain closed from 2 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. today.
Over 4.5 crore children have received the first dose of COVID-19 vaccine. In a tweet, Health Minister Mansukh Mandavia congratulated the children. He also called upon everyone to get vaccinated. Dr. Mansukh Mandavia said in the nation's collective fight against COVID-19 under Prime Minister Narendra Modi's dynamic leadership, now country has a strong protective shield of over 165 crore vaccine doses. According to the Union Health Ministry today, over 165 crore doses of COVID vaccine have been administered in the country under the nationwide vaccination drive. The country reported over 235,000 new COVID cases in the last 24 hours. Currently, India's active case load is 20,04,333. The ministry said more than 3,35,000 COVID patients have recovered in the last 24 hours and the national recovery rate stands at 93.89%.
In Kerala, lockdown-like restrictions will be imposed tomorrow to slow down rapid Omicron-driven transmission of COVID-19. This is the second Sunday lockdown to be clamped from midnight tonight in the third wave of the pandemic in the state.
You are listening to the Midday News on All India Radio. A reminder of the headlines before we move on. Electioneering picks up in poll-bound states. Star campaigners and prominent leaders of various political parties engaged in public rallies. Martial musical tunes with Indian fervor to be flavor-beating the retreat ceremony this year. Also 1,000 drones to perform light show at the ceremony in the national capital this evening. Over 4.5 crore children receive first dose of COVID-19 vaccine across the country. Prime Minister Narendra Modi to share his thoughts with people of the country and abroad in Mann Ki Baat program on All India Radio at 11:30 a.m. tomorrow. Government sets January 31st as last date for schools to register with Sainik School Society for setting up new schools. And India beat China 2-0 to win bronze medal at the Women's Asia Cup Hockey. In Australian Open Tennis Tournament, Ashley Barty to square off against first-time finalist Danielle Collins in the women's singles today at Melbourne Park. Thanasi Kokinakis and Nick Kyrgios to take on Matthew Abden and Max Purcell in the men's doubles final. For quick news updates around the clock, follow us on our Twitter handle at AIR News Alerts.
चलो मिलकर एक शुरुआत करें, चलो एक फैसला आज करें, मास्क नहीं तो टोकेंगे, कोरोना को रोकेंगे, चलो एक इरादा करते हैं, चलो खुद से वादा करते हैं, मास्क नहीं तो टोकेंगे, कोरोना को रोकेंगे.
Welcome back to the Midday News. Prime Minister Narendra Modi will share his thoughts with the people of the country and abroad in the Mann Ki Baat program on All India Radio at 11:30 a.m. tomorrow. This time, Mann Ki Baat will be broadcast from 11:30 a.m. instead of the usual 11 a.m. after observing remembrances to Father of the Nation Mahatma Gandhi on his death anniversary. This will be the 85th edition of the monthly radio program and the first episode of 2022. It will be broadcast on the entire network of AIR and Doordarshan, AIR News website and News on AIR mobile app. It will also be streamed live on the YouTube channels of AIR News, DD News, PMO and Information and Broadcasting Ministry. The External Affairs Ministry has said India is a robust and vibrant democracy and does not require a certificate from others. MEA spokesperson Arindam Bagchi said the claim that others need to protect the country's constitution is presumptuous and preposterous. Mr. Bagchi said the track record of the event organizers is as well known as the biases and political interests of the participants. Former Vice President Hamid Ansari and 4 US lawmakers had made comments on the current human rights situation in India at a virtual panel discussion organized by the Indian American Muslim Council.
The government has said Monday, January 31st, is the last date for schools to register with Sainik School Society for setting up new schools. Process also underway for evaluation of 284 registered schools for academic session 2022-23. Marching ahead in tune with National Education Policy NEP, the government has decided to provide increasing focus on value-based education, enabling children to develop pride in rich culture and heritage of this nation, effective leadership with character, discipline, sense of national duty and patriotism through setting up 100 new Sainik schools under Sainik Schools Society. To commemorate the occasion, as a Jan Utsav, All India Radio News brings its listeners a special quiz on India's freedom movement and its glorious history. The quiz has been conducted every Monday and Tuesday in the morning news since 16th August and will continue till 15th August 2022. Celebrate 75 years of India's independence by participating in Amrit Mahotsav quiz with AIR News.
And now let's listen to our special program Azadi Ka Safar, highlighting the importance of the day during the freedom struggle.
आजादी का अमृत महोत्सव। आजादी का सफर with AIR News, birth of a nation.
India's glorious freedom struggle is one of the greatest struggles the modern world has ever witnessed. AIR News brings you a glimpse of the struggle every day.
Late 18th century witnessed the beginning of press in British India when the first English language newspaper, Bengal Gazette, was published in Kolkata on the 29th of January 1780. It was an Irish gentleman, James Augustus Hickey, who started publishing Bengal Gazette, a weekly newspaper which was also known as Calcutta General Advertiser. This was the first editorial effort in India to expose the corruption of the British government. Its slogan was, "Open to all, but influenced by none." People were greatly inspired by Hickey's brave attitude for revealing truth.
Soon thereafter, some employees of the British East India Company also started a newspaper named India Gazette. Thus, when the rival newspaper India Gazette was published, on the same day, Hickey changed the name of this newspaper to Hickey's Bengal Gazette.
Hickey's Bengal Gazette was a strong critic of the colonial administration. He fought against Governor General Hastings' corruption. He raised his voice for Indian sepoys. Articles about the Bengali poor were common in his newspaper. As a reply to this, Warren Hastings ordered the seizure of the printing press of the Bengal Gazette, and it ceased publication on the 30th of March 1782.
दिल पे ना कुछ गम रहे, हर घड़ी हर लहज़ा याद सीने से बाहम रहे.
We also remember Fazil Muhammad Khan and his associates who attained martyrdom on 29th of January 1858. Fazil Muhammad Khan and Adil Muhammad Khan of Bhopal were landlords who became one of the chief rebel leaders in the central India region during the revolt of 1857. After being inspired by Fazil Muhammad and Adil Muhammad, many soldiers of the nearby princely states plunged into the War of Independence.
During the revolt of 1857, sepoys of the Bhopal states who revolted against the British wanted to have control over the neighbouring region of Sagar, and the fort of Rahatgarh was the doorway to Sagar. However, Bhopal Nawab Begum Sikandar Jahan was against these sepoys and wanted to crush the mutiny. Thus the army of Bhopal state and the army of Fazil Muhammad Khan had a fierce battle at Rajgarhi in July 1857, in which sepoys won. The sepoys then helped drive away the British from adjoining areas and also took over the fort of Rahatgarh.
To control the sepoys, the British government then sent an army brigade from Mahou to Rahatgarh in January 1858. The British regiment was led by General Hugh Grose. The army of Bhopal Sikandar Begum was also supporting the British. On January the 25th, 1858, the British stormed the fort.
Hundreds of sepoys were martyred in the battle. Adil Muhammad Khan managed to escape and later remained in many revolutionary campaigns with Tatya Tope. Fazil Muhammad Khan was caught and was hanged at the door of the fort with other revolutionaries on January the 29th, 1858. We pay tributes to the brave sons of the soil.
That brings us to the end of this episode of Azadi Ka Safar with AIR News. See you in the next episode tomorrow.
आजादी के आंदोलन के खजाने में ऐसे ढेरों शब्द जिन्होंने बदल दिए इतिहास, तारीख बदलने वाले लफ्जों पर आकाशवाणी समाचार ला रहा है विशेष कार्यक्रम धरोहर हर सोमवार।
Best wishes to all consumers for Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav. Hallmark ensures purity of gold. Always purchase hallmarked gold jewellery. For any consumer-related complaints, please contact National Consumer Helpline's toll-free number 14404, issued in public interest by Department of Consumer Affairs, Government of India. Jago Grahak Jago. The US has said that a Russian invasion of Ukraine would be horrific and would lead to a significant number of casualties. Addressing a press conference at the Pentagon yesterday, US President Joe Biden's most senior military officer, General Mark Milley, described the buildup of 100,000 Russian troops near Ukraine's border as the largest since the Cold War. He warned that the scale of Russia's forces near its border with Ukraine meant an attack would have severe consequences. Russia, however, denies plans to invade and says US support for Ukraine is a threat. Meanwhile, British Prime Minister Boris Johnson will telephone Russian President Vladimir Putin and visit Eastern Europe in the coming days as the UK steps up its diplomatic efforts to resolve the Ukraine border crisis.
Japan continued the impressive run at the 2022 Hockey Asia Cup as it thrashed the mighty South Koreans 4-2 at Muscat last night. India won bronze medal, beating China 2-0 for the third and fourth place playoff yesterday. Sharmila Devi in the 13th minute and Gurjeet Kaur in the 19th minute scored goals for India. In Australian Open tennis tournament, women's singles and men's doubles finals are today's highlights at Melbourne Park. Junior girls and boys singles finals are also to be played. In the women's summit clash, world number 1 and home favourite Ashley Barty will square off against first-time finalist Daniel Collins. The men's doubles final will be an all-Australian affair as Thanasi Kokinakis and Nick Kyrgios take on Matthew Abden and Max Purcell. While the former pairing have reached a Grand Slam final for the first time, Abden has won the mixed doubles title at Melbourne and Purcell is a former doubles finalist at the event. In the men's final, 20-time Grand Slam champion Rafael Nadal will play against world number 2 Daniil Medvedev at Rotlev Arena tomorrow.
Now let us take a look at the weather update for the day. National capital Delhi will have strong surface winds during daytime. It recorded a minimum temperature of 6 degrees Celsius, while the maximum will be around 21 degrees. Mumbai will have a mainly clear sky. It noted a minimum temperature of 21 degrees, maximum expected to be around 33. Chennai will also have a generally cloudy sky with light rain. There will not be much change in temperature as it will vary between 25 and 31 degrees Celsius. Kolkata will have a mainly clear sky. The city noted a minimum temperature of 12 degrees, maximum expected to be around 22. Srinagar and Jammu will have a mainly clear sky. Leh and Gilgit are likely to have a partly cloudy sky. Muzaffarabad will have a partly cloudy sky towards afternoon or evening. Visakhapatnam will have a partly cloudy sky with haze. Hyderabad will have mainly clear sky. Bengaluru and Thiruvananthapuram will have a partly cloudy sky. Puducherry will have generally cloudy sky with light rain or drizzle. Guwahati, Shillong, Impal, Aizawl, Kohima and Itanagar will have mainly clear sky. Gangtok will have a partly cloudy sky, becoming generally cloudy towards afternoon or evening or night. Agartala will have a mainly cloudy sky. And now before we end the bulletin, the headlines once again. Electioneering picks up in poll-bound states. Star campaigners and prominent leaders of various political parties engaged in public rallies. Martial musical tunes with Indian fervour to be the flavour of beating the retreat ceremony this year. Also, 1,000 drones to perform light show at the ceremony in the national capital this evening. Over 4.5 crore children receive first dose of COVID-19 vaccine across the country. Prime Minister Narendra Modi to share his thoughts with people of the country and abroad in Mann Ki Baat program on All India Radio at 11:30 a.m. tomorrow. Government sets January 31st as the last date for schools to register with Sainik Schools Society for setting up new schools. And India beat China 2-0 to win bronze medal at Women's Asia Cup Hockey. In Australian Open tennis tournament, Ashley Barty to square off against first-time finalist Danielle Collins in women's singles today at Melbourne Park. Tanasi Kokinakis and Nick Kyrgios to take on Matthew Ebden and Max Purcell in men's doubles final. And with that we end the midday news.